Non-British people of Reddit, what do you find odd about Britain? Something I'm a big fan of is the lack of overreacting. The world could be ending in a cataclysmic asteroid strike, and you could find a British gentleman standing staunchly with a slightly quizzical expression who says,
"Well, that's that then,"
while putting his pipe back in his mouth. I've tried to emulate that level of calm in my life.
Oh, we're not calm. Inside we're all deeply anxiety-ridden. We have a fear of letting anyone know our true emotion, so we seem cold and sort of, in the middle ground, in every situation.
Fries or chips and chips or crisps. Your crisps flavors are out of control. In the US there's usually a spicy flavor, a cheese flavor, and plain flavor of most any salty snack. In Britain, there's like, chicken casserole flavor, your mom's favorite broth flavor, and I'm out of pickle factory flavors. But seriously, there's like 40 flavors of crisps and maybe 5 of them are any good and don't smell like wet dog food.
Dated, and subsequently married, a Brit. I was so confused when he asked his nan what she had for tea, and it was a full meal. Turns out Brits call lunch, dinner and dinner, tea. I find this extremely bizarre.
Taking the BBC for granted, especially radio. I think it would be awesome to have instant access anywhere in the country to that amount of commercial-free information and entertainment, yet I've never met a British person who actually listens to it. They're always like,
"May, sometimes I put on Radio 1, I guess."
That, as it seems, that at least 50% of all men in the Great Britain have shaved heads. Male pattern baldness. The vast majority of them have shaved head because they don't have enough hair to cover their head. The fact that you have separate money for different regions. And apparently, you can pay with English pounds in Scotland, but you can't pay with Scottish pounds in England. What's up with that? Their comedy. It's so dark and wired. American comedy is the opposite.
I always hear people say this, but having grown up with British comedy, I cannot see what's so dark about it. Can you give me an example?
For example, the US Office sitcom versus the UK Office. The UK Office does more realistic and darker but funny style. The US Office is still really funny, but it's more wacky and unrealistic and lighthearted. The constant battle for who can self-deprecate the most.
I would win this battle, but I'm a bitch at self-deprecation.
Not as bad as me. I'm awful.
Oh. Come on guys, neither of you are that bad, but me. I might be the worst.
I should have died long ago.
As an American with shit healthcare, many of us should have died long ago.
If it helps, it's only a matter of time.
A candidate gets 30% and still wins.
Keep in mind, a prime minister does not equal president. Fundamentally, a prime minister has far less power. In practice, it means people vote more for a party than a person. This means a prime minister often has to make more compromises than in the US system to secure any kind of majority and form a government.
Ending a phone conversation. Canada, alright, I'll talk to you later. Bye. England.
Okay mate, thanks a lot, brilliant, speak to you soon mate, alright, okay. Bye bye, yep, okay then you too, alright, sound mate, bye, 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 bye.
Pork pies are eaten cold. A cold meat pie is very odd for me as an Aussie. I microwaved one once and they taste really good hot. Try it, you weirdos.
You've eaten a hot pork pie and you're calling us weird.
Heads down to the kitchen to quietly microwave a pork pie.
If I can convince just one Brit to eat hot pork pies, I will consider my time living amongst you to have all been worth it.
The Queen having no power.
She's got a fair bit of power, but she knows that if she uses it she'll most likely lose it.
Thanks for the clarification.
She has a meeting with the Prime Minister every Friday. Well, nowadays it's usually more her representative, where she tells him what to do. Essentially though, it's likely that these meetings consist of her saying, "Don't fuck with anything that could damage horse racing or my family's grasp on power, everything else is up to you."
When a parliament is elected, the Prime Minister has to get permission to form government. I've heard from a friend in MI5 that if Jeremy Corbyn won, they would advise her to deny him on grounds of national security.
I've heard from my friend in the MI5 that your friend is an unreliable source of information.
I am an American who has lived in England for 5 months now. Tuna on pizza is by far the worst crime. Also, you all apologize more than Canadians. I swear every Brit uses sorry as a conversation starter. You'd think they're all Catholic. Why do you make fun of Americans for using imperial units, when you guys were the ones who gave it to us? And you guys use an awful mashup of both systems. They think they'll win the World Cup every 4 years, it's hilarious.
What do you mean? It's coming home and you know it, lad.
Football's coming home.
I'm American and have lived in the UK for 4 years now, I'm still adjusting. Here's a short list of what I've found. 1. Turning every sentence into a question.
It's going to rain, innit? That was a bit out of line, wasn't it? They were out of lollies at the store, weren't they?
This may just be an Essex thing though. 2. Police officers here have very different roles than those in the US. Almost none of them carry guns, and the ones that do have a gun have a sign on their back that says something like, Authorized Firearms Officer. 3. The police will not pull you over unless you're actually endangering yourself or others. There are automated systems to monitor your speed. You'll get a ticket in the mail in a couple of days if you go too fast. It feels weird to go faster than a police car on the highway and not really give a damn. 4. Traveling by car is a pain. All roads lead to London, but if you want to go anywhere else it's a huge hassle. I live 3 miles from my office. In the US that would take less than 8 minutes to drive, here it takes about 20 minutes, and that's if I manage to not have to wait for a train. 5. Traveling by train is expensive. The rail lines are all privatized, so they can charge whatever they like. You may have heard stories of people flying to Germany and then back to the UK because it's cheaper. That's absolutely true. 6. Lastly, the British seem to really enjoy good food, but they're largely bad at making it themselves. We've had 4th of July and Thanksgiving parties where we went all out with smoked pork shoulder tacos / roasted turkey, and our guests had a great time. Good luck finding that kind of fare at a restaurant or pub. Beans on toast.
Quality basic snack food when you're hungover and can't be asked to cook, but you need something filling and warm. Just so cheap and can feed for a while. Can easy get a week's worth of meals for someone on benefits / poor, out of a loaf of bread and 3 tins of beans. £3 to £4 for the lot.
Queuing, no matter the circumstances. I once saw a video of looters queuing up to steal from a store during a London riot. Pretty sure The Daily Show did a bit on it.
That makes me feel proud somehow.
They wanted to leave EU but they don't, but also do.
When a non-legally binding vote comes out where about 70% turnout produced a 51.9% to 48.1% difference, there will always be a strong divide. 16.1 million voters versus 17.4 million. Many people I know who voted Leave changed their mind, mostly cause of that bloody Brexit bus.
Biscuits are cookies in Britain. When I was younger in the South I always wondered how they would make biscuits and gravy. The thought of sugar cookies covered in sausage gravy. Gross. I used to think that's how the Revolutionary War happened, was we got tired of Britain and their heinous act of war, cookies and gravy.
Oh man, in Thailand and on a local Facebook page for restaurants discussion, photos, food reviews etc., an American asked for biscuits and gravy in one place, and they got served gravy over British biscuits, custard creams. Tears of laughter.
Why do all your suburban houses look the same?
Because very large numbers of them were built at around the same time. They don't all look the same, there are a variety, but there's just less variety than you might expect. If you travel the UK you'll find a lot of very similar looking ones en masse, but there are differences.
Copy and paste was easier, I guess.
I think it's odd, but also sad that I've seen more British people having an actual conversation about modern American politics than I have Americans. Typically Americans just yell at each other.
Probably because the results won't directly affect us. If it comes to British politics, Brits tend to be just as aggressive as Americans are to their politics.
How incredibly sexy I find their accents. I don't even care what you look like. It's terrible, many mistakes have been made.
Which one? You like me West Country accent? Apparently it makes us sound smart.
Speak for yourself. I'm Scottish, no thinks my accent makes me sound smart.
I can listen to you talk all day though. There's a certain charm to it.
Norwegian here. Economic inequality, social stratification and low social mobility. We're practically neighbors, but the UK is so different on this point.
That democratic socialism you guys use? Check post-World War II, we used to be well up on it. Then the 80s happened and nothing had recovered since it was all sold off.
Thatcher happened.
I mean, that's what I was alluding to.
They drive like maniacs over there, like Jesus Christ. I'm sorry I took more than 3 seconds to cross the road. Please don't run me over.
Slow walkers are publicly hanged over here.
More like if you don't do the awkward slow jog to pretend you're putting effort in, people think you're taking the piss and wasting their time.
We don't have jaywalking as a crime here. We just run you over.
3 seconds? That's a cardinal sin.
It's funny because I'm from the UK, and when I've gone to other places like Greece or Thailand, people are lunatics. This guy was driving around 70 miles per hour on a road on a cliffside at night with one of his lights broken. And in Bangkok the taxi drivers almost got us into a crash about 5 times. I was relieved when I returned and people drove slow in comparison.
Our driving is superb compared to anywhere I've been abroad.
I find it weird and kind of hilarious that London has actually dangerous moped gangs. Gangs that ride mopeds. That is absolutely hilarious.
Why? They're perfect. London is made up of narrow winding streets, where regularly traffic moves at a snail's pace. Mopeds beat all methods of transport for getting around quick.
I don't know, here in Canada mopeds are just kinda made fun of and only really driven by people who have gotten DUIs before and aren't allowed to drive a car. I'm not saying they aren't completely reasonable, but imagining hard thugs driving around on mopeds just has to make you laugh.
Atatürk, drinking tea with milk is very weird.
Turkish tea and British tea are very different. Recently went to Turkey not too long ago. The amount of store owners reclining in front of their stores drinking tea was eye-opening.
When people say, cheeky wankas, what does that mean? Also, I think British people are awesome.
This is a term that has multiple meanings depending on context. A cheeky wanker could mean that someone has been particularly cheeky towards you. For an example, someone just took the parking spot you were about to pull into. Or perhaps your mate just went to the bar and bought you a Jaeger bomb. You were a cheeky wanker, you lad. Cheers. A lot of our terms that involve swearing need context for you to know what it means, as they can almost always be good and bad. I'll call my mates it means I like them, but if I call someone a who I don't know, they're a 1. You people eat super early. And I'm mad because I discovered how good and healthier it was. My first day in Manchester, I was just coming from the airport. It was 7:30 p.m. and I was searching for a restaurant to eat. No, restaurants serves after 7. Just how? I finally find one with a sign open till late and the kitchen was open till 8. I made it, but I almost had to eat a sandwich on my first night out. 2. Girls do wear a lot too much makeup and wear super tiny skirts when they go clubbing. Even if it's 8 Celsius, come on. 3. Cheers is a greeting for everything. But I quite like this one, because if I don't remember the proper greeting or I have not understand something someone is telling me, it's a super safe boat. I just answer cheers and it works like a charm.
Why the f would you leave EU? Why not use the euro? Why do you drive on the left? Why do you love tea so much? Why do you still try to have small islands that are basically meaningless? Your empire is gone anyway.
Are you looking for a genuine answer or are you just being facetious? I'm happy to answer nonetheless. On the first point of leaving the European Union, we have a very different history to the rest of continental Europe. All one has to do is travel across Europe and see how much their history is intermingled. Holy Roman Empire, Spanish Netherlands, Austria-Hungary, Belgium etc. Many of the countries share land borders that have over time shifted and swapped with one another. Whereas although the United Kingdom is geographically close to Europe, we have generally kept our distance and were busy elsewhere in the world. #Empire. Post-World War II we began to take more of an interest and subsequently joined the EEC, then the EU. I think for many people the concept of going from an almighty superpower to being somewhat subservient to other European countries is a hard pill to swallow. Immigration is another matter, but not in the way the media portray it. Much of the immigration from EU to UK is quite unequal and thus causes issues amongst the working class in the UK as they compete for low-skilled jobs. On the matter of refusing to take the euro, the pound sterling is the oldest currency still in use in the world. It is worth more than the euro. It would be an economically foolish option. We drive on the left because historically when traveling on the road on a horse it was easier to draw your sword placed on your left hip with your right hand. Tea keeps British people calm. We still have 16 colonies, most of which are islands for a host of reasons. The population on those islands have not sought independence. They are of strategic military importance or are financially beneficial to the United Kingdom. All colonies will be granted independence should they ask for it. For many it is simply not viable. So, no, the sun still does not set on the British Empire. Hope this clears some things up.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and ring the notification bell.